time, but not on the mat. This is actually my first time.
It's the first time on the mat, so I might have to take him down.
Ain't nothing but against the party.
Check it out. Let me tell you one.
What is up, my MMA brothers and sisters? Welcome to a special episode. I'm here with Roque Reyes at the dojo, Cortez Martial Arts, and this is my first interview actually at a dojo.
Oh, nice.
So different for me, but I'm definitely excited.
Well, it's great it's your home dojo for your daughter. So.
It is my home dojo. I'm here all the time, but not on the mat. This is actually my first time.
It's the first time on the mat, so I might have to take him down.
Ain't nothing but against the party.
I did bow though. I did bow.
Yeah, you bowed, so that's good,
I did
that's
bow.
good.
All right. Now, the main reason we're here is because Roque has a competitive nature that probably just doesn't go away. And he's actually going to come to this event. It's called Fight to Win Pro 38. Now, this is a Jiu Jitsu.
It's a submission-only promotion. Everybody probably knows who has watched Rated 101 before when he interviewed me for my Bellator fight. I retired from MMA competition, and I'm now just focusing on coaching, competing in Jiu Jitsu, and continuing focusing on my family and that stuff there. So, like he said, Fight to Win Pro 38 is coming to Sacramento June 30th at the Jackson Sports Academy. So that's the next event I have going on. I did do Jiu Jitsu World League last month. It was last month.
Probably even less than that.
Yeah, so the Bellator fight was in February, and then I did Jiu Jitsu World League in May, and then I'm here now. So to do Fight to Win Pro, it's something that you can only be a purple belt. Purple belt and above is what they allow, unless you're a teen or a youth.
And that's what I was going to ask. Is that what they consider as pro?
I don't know exactly where the pro comes in. Maybe because you can win money. Usually amateur and pro, it's whether you're getting paid or not, kind of makes the difference.
Yeah, because I was like, I didn't think there was a licensing for high-level jiu-jitsu.
There's no licensing that I'm aware of. Jiu-jitsu is really different from MMA in that regard, and probably the commission's probably looking at. They're probably going to try to catch up, but like, hey, we want some of that money too. So who knows? But I mean, the pro designation, I'm not too sure exactly where that comes from and what that means.
But as far as this tournament, like you said, everyone a part of it is purple belt or above?
The adults are purple belt and above, and it's not a tournament. It's one-on-one matches.
Right.
They're all feature matches. I believe there's like 30 submission-only pro or submission-only matches. Adults is purple belt and above. The teens and the youth, I think, they may be white belt up to, I think it's whatever, wherever they age out at. I guess if you're a blue belt, then.
And that'll probably be the first matches, and then they'll lead up to all these main ones.
Most likely. I was hoping to get my son on the card because he's an orange belt, and he's 13. So we were trying to get us both on there, but they weren't able to find him an opponent, which is fine. So hopefully maybe the next one that comes around, we can get him on there. I think it would be super cool to be on the same card with my son.
Yeah, that'd be something.
You know what I mean? And then just another thing we can put in our memory bank. My daughter does dance, so I don't think I'll ever be able to perform in a dance recital with her.
Hey, you could try.
But we'll take a big, nice picture. I'll be in the gi, he'll be in the soccer, jiu-jitsu, she'll be in her dance. My wife's teacher, so she'll have an apple and a pen or something. I don't know, but yeah. So no, it's just jiu-jitsu is something that we all share together. My wife and daughter more in terms of support, but my son and myself, he trains here as well. He's on the team with your daughter, so we compete a lot. We go to jiu-jitsu stuff a lot. So to be able to be on a car with him would be super cool. So that's hopefully we can.
That's a goal.
Yeah, we can put that on our bucket list and see if we can make it happen.
Well, one of the questions I kind of had right off the bat was, I know that you, right from when you retired, you went into, jiu-jitsu tournaments were like in your sights. How many have you had, not including this one? Was it one or two?
Since the fight?
Since the fight.
It was just one.
Just that one?
Yeah, and jiu-jitsu tournaments, they happen all the time, and I kind of stay plugged into the jiu-jitsu stuff because jiu-jitsu has always been the end game. I just, initially I'm gonna do MMA until I can't no more, and and it's not that I can't anymore. It's just you come to a crossroads. You come to a point where it's like you got to make one of those decisions. But I was always eyeing jiu-jitsu because even if I didn't retire from MMA, I still would do Jiu Jitsu World League. because I would have been bouncing in between both MMA and jiu-jitsu. But I always keep my sights on tournaments that are coming up. Not only for myself, but because I am focusing on coaching, so we can get the youth and the kids into tournaments. Even some of the adult teammates, get them involved in tournaments. Because if anything, I can go and I can help coach. Sensei Jason, he can go help coach too. We can do it collectively, or if he can't make it and I can make it, I'll go and I'll coach the team at a tournament. But jiu-jitsu is something that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life.
There's plenty of jiu-jitsu around.
God willing, and and I'll always be plugged into jiu-jitsu. So I just, that was already coming up, and
it's tattooed on your arm, so it's pretty much forever at this point.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu fighters tattooed on my arm, so yeah.
That's it. Well, another question I kind of had was, obviously, competitive, just a competition was always something that you mentioned even last time that we talked, and that you just love the competition. So now that you're here in this competition, you're going against these purple belts. I mean, how do you kind of, what's the mindset difference from when you were setting up for MMA where anything goes to you're going to just do jiu-jitsu and you're just going against another purple belt, but you don't really know what to expect?
It's not, I guess, as, for lack of a better term, nerve-wracking, because I'm not going to get punched in the face. I'm not going to get kicked in the head, but that's not to say that I'm not going to get ran through. Who knows? This dude could just be a dope purple belt and he can just run through me. I don't know. So,
do you know anything about him?
I just know that he's out of Half Gracie in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. That's about it. I think he got his purple belt around the same time I did. So we, depending on every school has a different grading system.
Right.
So, he's a purple belt, I'm a purple belt. We both know jiu-jitsu. We're just gonna go and see what happens. But it's a little less on my body because I don't have to beat it up so much like as if I would in MMA. I don't have to really cut any weight. I just really got to diet. And even if he was like super taller, it poses some significant challenges, but not in the form of MMA.
Sure.
So it's a little more laid back. I don't have to put in 7 days, of training and take the time away. Take the same amount of time away from my family, to compete in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
So those are some of the differences.
It's kind of an awesome mix, because one thing that you talked about before is that you started jiu-jitsu at the same time with your son.
We started at the same time in the gi. I started doing no-gi stuff when I was 28. I just turned 39, so I was kind of here and there at a couple of different places, just learning some basic no-gi stuff, and then I went into MMA, so it was just like a lot of MMA stuff, not really any like real formal jiu-jitsu training. Even the no-gi, it was just the basic stuff, white belt stuff is what I was learning, and kind of probably maybe an advanced white belt might have been the extent of my jiu-jitsu knowledge, but it was a lot of MMA, it was a lot of just grappling in and of itself, not so much like some kind of wizard stuff on the ground with jiu-jitsu. But my son and I, he started when he was 7. I used to run a no-gi class at the gym I was a part of before this. So he's 13 now. So he started when he was 7, so he's got about 6 years in. Collectively, we've been at the dojo for almost 5 years, I think, which is right around how long it takes to get a purple belt in the gi. So
also as an adult, because there's kind of differences when
if you start jiu-jitsu as an adult, it's roughly about 5 years.
Right. The kids obviously have a longer road because they got a lot more to deal with.
Like we have one of the students. He's 16, just got his blue belt this last promotion, but he's been doing jiu-jitsu since he was, probably about my son's age.
Wow.
Or maybe even younger. So he's not like these young blue belts. Sometimes they're not just a regular old blue belt, because they've been doing jiu-jitsu probably as long as me or even longer. That's just because of their age and the way that the belt system is formatted.
And that's kind of the beautiful thing. I mean, there's tests in order to get to the next belt. Right. I mean, it's not just just show up so many times and you just get it.
No, I mean,
you really got to know your stuff.
You have to know your stuff, and your head instructor has to put his stamp of approval on it.
Yeah.
They're just not going to be like, because not everybody's great at, the basics, and you really have to, at least get the basics down. People learn at different levels. You know, they understand things differently because of maturity or their age or their body, whatever the case is. You know, so it's not like any instructor's just going to be like, oh yeah, you know, you've been here long enough, or you know, whatever the case is, go ahead and go do it. No, because like my jiu-jitsu is a reflection of my sensei.
Right.
His jiu-jitsu is a reflection of his sensei. So, you know, you want to make sure that, you know, your students are a good representation of, you know, of you, just like with your kids.
And that's a tradition.
You know, the you know, your kids are a reflection of their parents. They're a reflection of their environment. If they're over there, you know, acting up, being bad, well, obviously there's something going on. I'm like, damn, what's up with their parents?
Yeah, where'd they learn that from?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of the same, you know, it's kind of the same thing, you know. So, you know, and it's not a thing about, you know, ego and, you know, my name this and that. It's just, you know, it's a reflection of you, a reflection of the school. You know, just even how I am as a person off the mats is the lights went out.
I know.
We're not moving enough. We got to move around more.
All right. Well, either way, I'm sure we'll get them on soon.
Move around some.
Now, I got one question before I bring some heavy-duty questions.
Okay.
Now, with jiu-jitsu, naturally, you're sticking with one art form, which is your main art form that you've kind of always done. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, upon training, you know that you're going to be with a purple belt. You don't really know what to expect. You know, like you said, you know jiu-jitsu, he knows jiu-jitsu. You both are high level. So upon like preparing, what would that look like? Obviously, with MMA is a little different. You kind of study your opponent because you kind of have to.
Right.
But with jiu-jitsu, I would assume you kind of practice your game, the things that you're best at.
Yeah, it's strange, you know, because it's not like I don't have to like put a camp together. I mean, I'm like mentally, you know, the intensity is up there, you know, and like, you know, I'm you know, looking at angles when I'm rolling with my teammates, and I go to some open mats, and you know, there's some other guys that I know that are on the same show, you know, and I'm going to their open mats. I'm training with some higher level people, you know, to help me get ready, you know, for a higher intensity, you know, match, and that's kind of
100% effort.
You know, that's kind of where it's at, is, you know, just staying mentally aware of everything. Yeah. You know, small little details. You know, paying attention to the finer details.
So sharpening up.
Yeah, just sharpening up the stuff. You know, I mean, there. You know, it's not like MMA where like, oh, because I get some questions like, oh, you know, what do you know about him? He does jiu-jitsu, like, you know, unless like, you know, he's some Abu Dhabi world champion, something like that, like, then that's something like, you know, I would have to like,
let's see what submissions he uses, you know, often.
I would have to change some things up, but you know, it's nothing like that. You know,
because it's really your game too. It's like there's so many different aspects to jiu-jitsu to where you're better off anyways doing what you're good at.
Oh yeah.
And focusing on.
Yeah,
those
I mean,
things.
it's really more. I think what it's more is just about implementing your will. You know, implementing your will and your skill to, and you know, and trying to break them down. There we go.
There you go. We got enough movement.
The PG&E's back on.
Well, let me get you these hardcore questions really quick while we have just a little bit of time. Let's start now. Here are the girls. Here's Maya. Here's Leah. They train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Rocky does an amazing job doing it. I can say that with 100% certainty because I'm always here in the backgrounds. But we got a question each for their coach, Rocky. What is your question, Maya?
How long has this dojo been here?
How long has this dojo been here? Started building it. Sensei Jason started building it around August. So probably about 6 or 7 months it's been here at this location. You know, we were in Manteca off of Main Street you know, I've been a part of the dojo for almost 5 years, so 4.5 of my time with the dojo was spent at the old location in Manteca.
And this is the third location too, as far as
I
Cortez.
believe this is the third location that he's had.
Or as Sensei says, the third and final.
Yeah, the third and final one.
Look
I
at
mean,
this place.
it's huge.
I mean,
you know,
come on.
When we were in Manteca, you know, it was probably about as big as that area over there. I think the camera's showing where the fence. It was about as big as that, and maybe
and then there was like a cage area.
Well, half the bag rack. That hole was like the whole dojo itself.
Yeah.
So it's about 1, 2, 3, about 4 times
bigger, at least.
Maybe even 6 because of the office space and the changing rooms and the bathrooms.
Bleachers.
You know, the bleachers.
Great.
Yeah, it's
All right.
so yeah, about 6 months here. In this
What
particular
about
location.
you, Lee? Let's get a real tough one. What is it?
How much tournaments have you been to?
How many tournaments have you been to?
How many tournaments have I been to?
Roughly.
So 15, 12, somewhere around there. You know, there's
Enough to lose count, apparently.
Yeah, because there's tournaments where I've placed and won medals. There's tournaments where I haven't. So it's been a lot.
Yeah, enough,
So-
right?
No, well, not enough because I'm doing.
You're still doing it, right?
doing it. Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I started this off with, and that was my initial thing. The competitive nature that's just built in. The something that some people have that others just don't, and your fire is just flaming still.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's still flaming.
you're like hungry.
You know, it's just, you know, I enjoy jiu-jitsu, and I got tremendous support from my wife and my kids, you know, and my mom too, because, you know, she helps sometimes with watching the kids or whatever, so I can go, you know, get some mat time in or whatever. But, you know, I can do it, you know, and why not? And, you know, and not everybody likes to compete, and that's cool. Like,
Right.
you know, a lot of people, when they talk about jiu-jitsu or I ask them about have they thought about trying, like, oh, well, I don't want to fight. You don't, like, that's, you know, you don't have to want to fight to learn jiu-jitsu, because it's not about fighting. It's, you know, it is a you know, a form of self-defense, you know, but there's you know, it changes your life. You know, any martial art can change your life if it's worth it to you and you put the effort into it.
Right.
For me, it's jiu-jitsu, and for countless others, it's jiu-jitsu. You know, so, you know, I like to compete. You know, it's a way for me to see where I'm at. You know, I don't have, you know, it's a regulated area. There's no malice with it. You know, it's not like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm gonna go see how good I am by getting in a street fight, because, like, you know, most of the times the fights end in a lot of violence, and you know, it's not, and that's not the road I want to go.
Well, like
down.
you said, with this, you can just keep doing it,
Yeah,
doing
you know,
it.
you can
and
keep doing it,
If you're
and-
not in the mood, then you don't.
Yeah,
and
you
if
don't got to
too.
compete, and you know, and being an assistant instructor, it allows me the opportunity to give back and help teach kids a life skill that they can benefit from for the rest of their life.
Forever, yeah.
You know, because it's not so much about the technique and learning this. There's a lot of life lessons that they run parallel with, you know, pushing the kids to, you know, fight through the adversity if they can't get a submission, or, you know, some of the stuff I was talking to your daughters about earlier. But there's a lot of parallels with life, because
sure, yeah.
you know, it'll help you.
Well,
be
that's where I got to
successful.
give you another big
Oh,
handshake, man.
thank
I
you,
love it.
thank you.
If you can see the passion that he has, not only for jiu-jitsu, but, you know, when I see it's not, he talks, you know, lessons, because it's true. Finding the connection of push yourself here, because you need to push yourself in life.
Yeah, you
It's
have
no
to.
harder, or it's much harder even,
Yeah.
probably out there. So pushing yourself in here is those lessons. So it translates. That's why we come every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday on time, and they're getting better, and it's a big thank you to you. So it's always fun to interview you. So June 30th.
June 30th,
Very soon.
Jackson Sports Academy. I got tickets, $40 general admission. You can go to my athlete page. I have an event set up on there. Seth Daniels, thank you for doing what you're doing for jiu-jitsu and putting us on the map to showcase the art. Thank you to all my sponsors and supporters. Thank you to Sensei Jason, the Charles Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Association, and I'm getting the cue to stop because we need to go.
All
Thank
right.
you, everybody.
Wait,
Take
until
care.
next time, you'll see all the links. Until next time, peace.